like you said, you're not like giving them up. Like even as a D group leader, you would still be like, hey, I'm still walking with you, but like here's someone to help you even more.
Welcome to the D3 Discipleship Podcast, a podcast about the language and tools that help to create a culture of intentional discipleship in your church. We are excited that you're joining us today and hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the D3 Discipleship Podcast. I'm Katie Ketzner, along with my co-host, Ray Peoples, the OG.
Oh, boy.
How are you, Ray?
OG. I'm good. You know what I loved in our last discipling meeting was I got asked what the OG is or what OG means.
That's what popped in my head when I said it. I was like, Ray, what does that mean?
Yeah. And then I questioned it as I answered it. I'm like, is that really what it means? Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah. So, you know.
I think it was funny because Charlie was the one that
yes.
typed up and asked it. Like,
yes. Right. Of all the people that would ask that question. I love it. Yep. How things been going?
It was fun. So, plugging away with Judah and figuring all that out.
So is this whole mom thing kind of like discipleship? Like it's not as hard as you thought it was going to be? Or is it like still hard? What do you think? Because I feel like you're from the outside. I feel like you're rocking this mom thing, right? Like, and you and Cody are rocking the parent thing. So, like, has it kind of been like your discipling journey? Like, yeah, this ain't too bad once you get in it.
Yes.
Sound like you're trying to convince yourself. So I don't know about that.
So, I mean, obviously there are hard moments when you're trying to figure it out, but like,
sure.
No, it's as hard. But I mean, it's ever changing. So,
yep.
I mean, I don't know how to answer that completely. Like, I'm not dying over here. Like, I feel like I'm handling it pretty well.
Yeah. Head above water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
I think the hardest part at the moment is like, trying to figure out like giving time to him, but also working and like the balance of life in general. Like trying to also work out and keep up with my body and eat healthily and like take care of Judah, like all of his needs and the family house and like all of these things.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not as hard as I thought, but it's combined with everything that is where it becomes tricky.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Yeah. I saw a meme the other day that was it was a teeter-totter, but it was like the teeter-totter was off the frame. You know what I mean? Like it was just on the ground. And it said, "This is my balance of life." Thought it was pretty funny. So no balance at all. It's just destroyed. That's what it is. One day at a time.
So did you have did you have like a little respite here? Did you go on vacation?
I did not go on vacation.
Or take a break?
I went to a conference. I went to it's called Intentional Churches. It's kind of a strategy type thing that you can bring into your church. And so got the opportunity to go to that and learn. And then Jonathan Bissick went with me.
Cool.
And so I think Matt was originally supposed to go, and then his dad had heart surgery and all that. So Jonathan ended up going with me, and I think we had some great takeaways and found a couple maybe even gaps that in even discipleship, like some gaps that we're going to work on filling. And so, some really cool finds and different things that we discovered. So, yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, I know you've been really busy lately, so.
Yeah.
Was that like a break, or is that just more work, or a little bit of both?
More to do. No, it was a break. It worked out well that Joe, our church planning resident, was actually teaching this past Sunday. So, I didn't have a message to worry about, but was able to focus in on the conference and some of that stuff, and then came home and didn't have to like get a message ready. Now, Jonathan, on the other hand, did, but I didn't have to. So I took, I'd say, it was a work trip, but it was like, I mean, it was fun stuff to learn. Like it's
cool.
My kind of stuff. I like strategy and different things. So, yeah. But
Well,
yeah.
So we started off talking about the D3 gathering that we had a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So today's topic, we're going to kind of dive more into the InStep talked about, or that was introduced during that meeting.
Yeah.
So during that meeting, Matt gave kind of a brief overview. And so this past week, there was a more informational meeting on InStep particularly.
Correct.
So you were part of that meeting.
Yep.
I was not. So
I thought you were, and I'm sorry.
I know.
Yeah. Before the podcast, I was like, Katie, you were there. You were in that meeting, so we can really talk about it. And she was like, I was not. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So that's where that's coming from. Yeah.
So my role today is as it is most times, is a lot of questions about it.
There you go.
Trying to figure it out for myself, and gleaning some information from you as to what came from that meeting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about who led the meeting.
Yeah, so Matt led out on the meeting with Mike Grubbs, who is going to be kind of our, I would call him our director, in a sense, of our Biblical Counseling Center. But also Mike wrote all this content for the InStep training. And so he has actually implemented this at a couple other churches, but now New City has the opportunity to also implement it here. And so he gave us kind of Matt gave us a 30,000-foot view, very similar to what he did at the D3 gathering. And then from there, Mike really kind of got into some of the weeds and the next steps and different things like that. And so I thought it'd be great for us to kind of put that out on the podcast as well for folks who are looking to dive into this more. I think there is another call. We're recording this on a Wednesday morning. I think there is another call tomorrow night. So you'll probably hear this podcast later than that second call. But at the end, just a little, we'll dangle a carrot. At the end, we'll talk about when the training date is for our InStep training and for our deployed leaders. And I would definitely encourage, like, if you have a heart for counseling and you have a heart for walking alongside people, you're definitely going to want to either listen through the full podcast here or fast forward to the end to find that date. And also you're going to be getting information through your email as well about when those trainings are. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that that Mike is already doing this with other churches.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, so he has set it up. He has set it up at other churches, but he has not set it up in a way that he is like the lead guy, like he is going to be at New City. So he is our trained, licensed counselor at New City that we will refer people to if it's out of our league, if you will. If it's out of our pay grade, we're going to pass those folks along to him. He's set that up with other counselors leading the way at other churches, if that makes sense.
Okay. So this model is already being produced other places. So
Yes.
It's not like this is coming out of nowhere and like we're just trying to figure it out as we go. Like this
Right.
is actually like we can see how it works
Yep.
at these other churches.
Yeah. And it's
okay.
it's proven,
I don't think I knew that.
and it's proven fruitful and has had some great results as well. So pretty cool stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, if you're not able, well, obviously, since this is airing after the calls, what if you want to be trained or you're interested in this, but now's not the time? Like either you're in a discipleship group and you just can't give more time to it right now, or like you would be interested in doing it after your group. Are there more opportunities for training? Like, will there be like a consistent pattern of like being able to be trained for this?
Yeah, so it's actually so just to give some clarity to the training is a Friday night and a Saturday morning. He says it tends to work the best. So it's actually going to be from 6 to 9 on a Friday, and then it's going to be 8:30 to 2 on a Saturday. So you're given some time to this, but he said, walking away from the training, you will be fully equipped to go and do this thing. So, again, you're given a day basically in full, but it's on a Friday night and a Saturday. So right now we're looking at early to mid-June is going to be our first training, and then we'll do another one in the fall. So if you're in the middle of what we're going to actually do is encourage all of our D3 leaders to be at this June meeting. But if you can't make it, obviously, there's going to be other times. So somebody asked even on the call, like, when is the next training going to be? It's going to be in the fall. So it's probably going to be a spring/fall rhythm that we'll have, and we'll continually train people. The future hope and goal is that we have coaches. So it's not just Mike leading out this InStep training, but it's that we have other people that are actually leading it as well. So that maybe we could have even more often, we could have those trainings. But again, once you walk away from that, he said you're ready to go. And so that's kind of going to be the rhythm there.
Okay, so is this something that at New every deployed leader, they're going to be encouraged to at least take the training, even if they don't particularly go that route, just to have it in your tool bag or whatever?
Yeah, so he was talking about this idea of referral that he really presses in on Friday night. So the idea is that he trains individuals as you're walking with a person to know where and when the line is to refer them to professional help. And so he was saying that as a discipling leader, or really any group leader is what he was saying, which in our language would be that you have to be a deployed disciple to lead a group. So that would be all of our deployed disciples. Ultimately, if you're leading a group of people and you walk through their stuff with them, then they would be trained and equipped to be able to refer to wherever they need to refer. And so, in a sense, kind of just to further that, there are really two places that you're going to refer them. You're going to refer them to professional help. That would be the biggest thing. And then the other place that you will refer them is to a place that is kind of a specialty to what they're walking through. So we talked about this a couple podcasts back, but the places that we're going to be referring individuals to, if not professional help, is kind of this next level. I know nobody can see me on the podcast, but I have my hands, I have one above the other. And so we have kind of these certain levels of referral. So that mid-level would be, again, something kind of specialty for you that you're walking through. So the 4 areas that we're going to kind of focus on out of the beginning is Celebrate Recovery, which is, again, not just addictions and substances, but it's also like mental health and, I've gone blank. Mental health, eating disorders, different things like that. And so there are multiple things that Celebrate Recovery offers that we are going to kind of point people towards. Then the other ones are in the area of finances. So if somebody's struggling financially and trying to get on the right page with budget and different things like that, we're going to be referring them to kind of a finance opportunity or option. And then another one is marriages. We're going to be working through how can we help people equip and grow their marriages. And then the last one would be our grief share that we have going on. That's been going out of our KCK campus, but that'll be an ongoing rhythm as well that we'll point people towards. So kind of those 4 areas are going to be our areas of focus. And if it's again, when you meet with this person as an InStep leader, you're recognizing, okay, this is where they are, and you're walking with them, and you may get into the weeds a little bit and go, oh man, I think you actually could use some professional help. So what Mike shared on the call is that as a licensed counselor, he is sitting down with a lot of people that could actually have an InStep person walking alongside them and bring them to a place of what he calls normalcy. And so that's kind of the success of an InStep leader, is walking with a person till they get back, or they get out of this place that they're stuck, in a sense.
Okay, so I think I thought I was grasping this, but then you said something that made me have another question.
Oh.
Okay.
No.
So what I was kind of grasping was, this training is basically just going to let us as discipled leaders, we will be able to spot areas where we know that we can't help ourselves in group. so then we're trained through this training to say, hey, like, you need to see someone, and here's the next step for you.
Yep.
Correct?
Correct.
Is that okay? But then, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is the other piece is like in the verbiage of an InStep person, an InStep, I think we're calling them, what are we calling them? Leader, InStep leader, because we can't use the word counselor. So they're an InStep leader.
Yeah.
The InStep person is going to walk in step with that person. So if I'm walking with somebody and they find out or they figure out, hey, we need to go to Celebrate Recovery, there actually may be a season that I actually go with them for a couple of weeks to Celebrate Recovery to make sure they settle in and find that place of community. And then I'm going to pass them off to that community. So, for example, I'm, again, walking in step with them to help them with this thing that they're stuck in. So that may come out of your discipling group, or we hope to have just people who are deployed leaders that feel called to just counsel and minister to people. And thus they're not necessarily leading a discipling group, but they are an InStep leader. So it's going to be beneficial to both. We're going to have folks who are not in groups that are saying, hey, the place I'm going to go as a deployed leader is to be an InStep leader. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to walk with people, care for them. So a great example is Dave Borden. He's an elder at my campus. He's getting a degree in counseling. He wants to walk with people in counseling. And so instead of leading a D group, he's gonna raise his hand as an InStep leader and say, I'm walking with people in this way. And then he's going to meet with them and then find out, okay, where is the place they need to go? Can they hang out with him, or do they need to go to Celebrate Recovery? Do they need to go to Financial Peace? Do they need to go to this marriage thing, or do they need to go to Grief Share? And so he's going to, again, our people are going to be the ones that are finding the avenue for those folks.
Okay. So here's a mental picture that is now coming up. So say like me just working at the church, we have someone who has a need, like they need to talk to someone, like they need to, for whatever reason, they just want to, they're having issues and they want to talk to somebody.
Yep.
Our first step would be sending them to one of our InStep counselors.
Correct.
Not counselors, because you can't be called a counselor if you don't have the degree.
Yep.
InStep leaders.
Yep.
And then from there, that leader is trained to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what the issue is, talk them through some of this stuff. And if they can't help with whatever, if it's like very not surfacey, but like if they can't get through it with like, would they be going with learning circles and like basic like discipleship stuff?
Yep.
So then if they can't kind of get through the issue with some of the tools that we have in general, then they are trained to then move it along to the next level.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a hierarchy.
Yep.
So then they go to the next level where we have specialized people running these groups: marriage, finance, grief,
Correct.
Celebrate Recovery.
Yep.
And they are going with them to these groups for a while.
Yep.
And then if these people can't help, then they are referred up to an actual licensed counselor.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
Serving in a sense as a filter.
Okay.
Right. So what that would look like for you,
Okay.
for you especially, right? Like you're one of the folks that typically takes those first calls. And so they would say, hey, I live in the Shawnee area. I was looking for a church that could maybe sit with me and I could ask a couple questions. Then you would say, okay, yeah, let me hook you up with one of our InStep leaders. And so not to repeat everything you just said, but what you would do is then contact one of our InStep leaders on the list that would match with them, either a male or a female, right? So if it's a female on the phone, we're going to connect you with one of our InStep leaders who's a female. And then that person is going to serve as the filter of what is the next step for that person. Instead of, I think sometimes currently what happens is, hey, this person needs counseling, thus we send them straight to Mike. But what we're saying is, no, we're actually going to activate the people of our church in a way that they're going to become the counselors and the filters to see if they actually need to go to Mike, or can we use our discipling tools and the tools that we learn in our InStep training to help them get unstuck in the thing that they're in. So that's kind of the hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where my confusion was coming. I was like, okay, well, what is the difference between a D3 leader, like
Yep.
if you're leading a group, and an InStep leader. And
Right.
basically, you're not. One is just in a group and one is not in a group. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
InStep leader, like they're solo acting, right?
Yep.
Kind in a sense.
Yep.
But as a discipleship group leader, you're kind of doing the same thing.
Exactly.
I mean, you
right.
are doing the same.
You are doing the same
Okay.
thing every week you meet, right?
Yeah.
So
that's
Yep.
why you need that training.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
Got it.
And so
Okay.
actually you could, I mean, in a sense, well, not in a sense, you could be doing both. You could be a D group leader and raise your hand
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to be an InStep leader, just recognizing your capacity that you have 5 people you're focusing in on, or however many people are in your group. And then in addition to that, you may have another person outside of your group that you're walking with, helping them figure out their next steps as well.
Gotcha. I wish this would come out before the next meeting, because I was like, oh, well, I'm in a group right now. Like, I'm not adding another thing to my plate, but
Sure.
like in actuality, this is going to help me as a leader in my current group. So
Yeah, it's
maybe
those. It's those. I mean, I hope this is tactful and nice, but it's like those folks that you've been walking the learning circle for multiple times, and they're still stuck in that thing. Like specialized training might help them get out of that thing, and so you've been trying in your D group to get them out of it, but they just, whatever reason, they have this hang up. It's like, okay, hey, you have this hang up with drinking, and our discipling group hasn't gotten you there, but I think a community like Celebrate Recovery would. And then you would actually offer to like go with them to that for a week or two just to get them going, right? And so you don't have to give up all your Friday nights, but there might be a couple that you say, hey, I want to foster you into this community, and then get them in that community where they now are connected with other people that have that same hang up. So
that's good.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I wish this was around a little bit sooner.
Right.
Just thinking not myself, but I have a couple people in mind who like they ended up not finishing their discipleship group because of that reason.
Right.
They keep walking around this mountain and they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't keep doing that in a discipleship group. So that would be good. That's good. Cool.
Yeah, and then so the other fun thing was Mike was talking about like the type of training, like what makes up the training, right? And so he has kind of 3 key pieces. It's connecting, so he's going to train folks how to connect with others, and then discernment. So hey, as you're having these conversations, you're going to ask the right questions so that you can clearly discern what are next steps for them. And then the third piece is the encouragement. So again, it's not a pass off and take your hands off of them. Good luck, right? But it's more, hey, I'm going to walk in step with you for a couple weeks or however long it takes, right? It may be 3 months that you have to kind of walk alongside them and help them and coach them. But at the same time, you're saying, this is my one person that I'm going to walk with. And so he said, capacities are different for people from a time standpoint, but also just capacity of life and season of life, so I'm going to go back to Dave Borden for a minute. He's an empty net area. He's an older, like his daughter is in the house, but she's 19 and like doing her own thing, right? Has a job and all that. So he has a little more flexibility than maybe somebody else. And so therefore he could maybe have 2 or 3 people, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a baby and like all these other things going on. And so there's opportunity there for capacity for each person. But again, they'll raise their hand and say, okay, as an InStep leader, I can take on probably 3 people. Right. And so then they'll walk with those 3 people. And then once one rolls off, hey, I'm available to take another. And so
do they then make up their own like schedule with this person? Like, hey, I'm going to meet with you once a week, or like, is there a schedule that's like recommended?
Yeah. So
like, how often are you being with this person?
Right. Yeah. So that will be part of the connection piece that we'll be trained in. But I think the main thing was like, you're going to find what works for them. Because some people, Mike says, you can sit down with one person and it could be like 2 weeks and they're unstuck, right? They're moving on. Other people could be a couple months, could even be up to a year with some. But he said, if it gets over that, I can't remember the exact date that he said if it gets over that, but it might be time to find professional help, right? Because, and again, those are those referral pieces, discernment pieces that he's going to be training through is like, man, if they just won't get over this hump, they maybe need professional help, different things like that. So.
This is a lot more clear. Yeah.
And I think it'll benefit the D group leader as they're leading, but it'll also, we may have those people that, man, their calling is counseling and loving people. That's awesome. But what we want is deployed individuals to do that, And I think, again, we're at this place of, I think as of the D3 meeting a couple of weeks ago, is 187 deployed people. Like, we've got folks, I think, in those 187 that would love to counsel people one-on-one, even maybe more so than leading a D group. Cool. That's great. We want to give you an opportunity to use your gifting and your calling to go and do that. And I think we've provided an avenue for that. But on the flip side, it's going to take some training to be able to do that. So,
yeah, I do like this. I think this is another good avenue, like once you're deployed, like as another option.
Yep.
Just because, like, you're right. I think some people would be more willing to, especially those high shepherd, high pastors, like be able to care one-on-one with someone. I think they would thrive in that situation.
Yep.
Whereas like you are doing that in a group, but you're also like, you're trying to plow through like teaching and reteaching and all of these things.
Yeah.
And if one person is just kind of stuck, it's hard to keep the group going. So yeah, this will be great for knowing as a leader, like when to stop. It sounds bad, like not stop trying with this person, but when to get extra help.
Right.
Because I mean, at some point you're going to stall your group.
Yep. Yeah.
If you keep trying to do that.
No, you're totally right. Totally right.
And it's not like you're not, like you said, you're not like giving them up. Like even as a D group leader, you would still be like, hey, I'm still walking with you, but like, here's someone to help you even more. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
And it would put them again in like a specialty, right? So if their marriage is struggling, hey, we're going to put you in this marriage group that can help your marriage, or finances are struggling. We're going to put you in this financial group instead of like you said,
would
the
you
group
ever,
being held up.
Would you ever, would you ever go like, if they're in a group, would you ever recommend them going to another InStep leader for the one-on-one before recommend a group? Like if are circling a mountain and you feel like maybe just with some one-on-one personal attention, they would be able to move on before they even go to the specialized groups. Oh. Would that ever be a situation like, hey, like, I think I don't know. Like,
yeah, I think,
but also why not?
So something we've encountered in groups is like, we start talking about generosity, right? And it comes out that somebody doesn't have a budget, like, or know how to do a budget or anything like that. It could be a one-time meeting with an InStep leader that has a passion for finances. They sit down and they work out that budget, and then, hey, you're past that. You're done. You got it, right? And so just replicate that and start to do that every month, and now you have a budget in place. So I think it could be as simple as that, or it could be as, hey, I think there's this thing that you just can't get. Like I think I said before, like there's this one thing you can't get over. Man, Celebrate Recovery would really help you in walking through that and being accountable to that and some different things. So, marriage counseling, it might be, hey, sit down with this couple who loves marriage and let's work through this one thing that you guys can't get over. Like, is always a tension in your marriage. What are some steps you could take? Like, I think there's short answers, and then there's the long game as well that the InStep people will play. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good, parallel to our discipling in helping folks, and then also helping folks who are not yet in discipleship, right? And so the one thing I think that new that I learned out of the phone call that I think is, I learned a lot of new things, don't get me wrong, but like I think one thing that stood out is that we're going to kind of refer people to InStep very similar to how we already refer them to our counselors that we have. So it's not going to be this blanket invite to the church on a Sunday morning. Hey, everyone come to InStep. It's going to be more the people who are seeking out guidance and counsel. Those are the folks that are going to get kind of, for lack of a better word, first dibs on InStep, right?
Yeah.
And so, hey, you obviously have a heart that you want to change. Something wants to change in your life. Lord's speaking to you that this needs to experience transformation in this area. That's the folks that we're going to go after first. Mike used a statement, we're not going to chase anybody, right? They're going to need to come to us and want to change. And so I think that was a good word from him.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense because, I mean, no change is going to come about from someone who doesn't actually want it enough to, seek it out.
Right. Yeah.
Good information.
So all that to say, somebody who's wanting to get trained further in InStep, I believe you'll be getting an email to confirm this, and there's a whole nother call that may change these dates, but it was a raise your hand if you're available on this date or could do this date. So the upcoming training dates are going to be June 14th and 15th. Now, again, that may change, but I believe that was the date that most people had access to and we could do. So it's going to be June 14th and 15th. So it's a Friday and a Saturday. That is, I believe, Father's Day weekend, but unfortunately that's the only opening on the calendar. So, but all that to say, if you're a D3 leader listening to this, there is going to be an email that is sent out to you to confirm that date, confirm those times, and also confirm registration and sign up. But that was the day we were looking at on the first call. Again, another call tomorrow night. That may change, but I don't know that it's going to, because the other one was like May 4th, which is like in a couple days, right? So that was not going to work. And so this was the other opening. So June 14th and 15th. And again,
is that in person?
It is in person, yes. And there will be a registration link that goes out. Somebody asked if it's going to be recorded and they could listen later. But Mike said that there are some in-person trainings and role-playing that happens in the room for the sake of just learning that don't go well via an online training. And so he prefers everybody be there and be in person. So
that makes sense, but that's terrible.
Yeah. So again, we're going to do one. We're going to do one in yeah. We're going to do one in June, and then we'll do one again in the fall. If you can't make it to the June one, we recognize short notice, right? But we feel like if we can get a batch of at least probably 2 per campus that could start this and get this going, that'd be a good start for us, at least through the summer, and then we'll have another batch in the fall that'll get going. So that's the plan. That's the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. Boom, boom.
Yeah. Sounds cool. Sounds fun.
So all that to say, if you've made it this far and you have questions about that or about any of this, I would say send those in to d3info@newcitychurch.com, and we can help with pointing you in the right direction and information you might need. Again, be looking for that registration link for the 14th and the 15th and that upcoming event as well. Yeah. Katie, you got anything else? Any other thoughts?
No.
No?
I don't think so. Not
okay.
Nope.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, why don't you sign us off? Since you started us off, go for it.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, you already talked about if you have any questions. Or
I did. I beat you to that one. Sorry.
I know. So I don't know what else I'm supposed to say, but so we're really excited about this InStep training and the leading and, how God is going to use it to help us help the distressed and dejected, are missing for the last few years. And there's a lot of that out there. So
right.
This is cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, we encourage you to take part of it, join the training, join the calls. Learn up.
It's good stuff.
And we'll see you there, maybe.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode of the D3 podcast, and we will see you later next time.
We'll see you next time. Adios.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope that today's information was helpful and useful for your discipling journey. We would like to encourage you to subscribe, review, and share on social media. If you would like more information, check out d3pathway.com.